You already know why I'm making this video, so let's get into it. What's up, everyone? It is yours truly, Aeronage in the flesh. How you doing? I'm here to discuss with you why Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is a competitive fighting game. And obviously from the title, it's a response to Lotus's video. I have no hate to Lotus at all. This is a conversation, and that is what I'm going to do. But first, before I get into Lotus's points, let's talk about what is a fighting game. I'm not going to look up a definition because I'm pretty sure everyone knows what a fighting game is. But even as I say that, there's some games that we qualify as a fighting game that's not really a fighting game, like Windjammers. People call that a fighting game, but it's not actually a fighting game. You're just throwing a frisbee at someone. So what people call a fighting game, it just depends on the person, honestly. But the actual definition of a fighting game is you fighting another person, whether that be player versus player or computer. But when we say fighting game, we're talking about player versus player specifically. Why is Sparking Zero a competitive fighting game? I want to start this by saying competitive, you should know what competitive is by now. And if you don't, allow me to explain. Competitive is when one person and another person decide, oh, I want to beat this dude. That is competitive. Bottom line, as long as there is PvP in anything, it will always be competitive. There's competitive Battlefront 2. Did you know that? This game is very mechanically dense. Like, I know people don't really get everything that's in there, and one mechanic stands out more than others. There's still a lot to pull from this game. So saying this game is not mechanically dense or it doesn't have that kind of depth, you're not giving it its props for actually being as dense as it is. Sparking Zero has more tech than some of these 2D, 3D fighting games, man. So I'm on Lotus's video. There's a few points in here that I wanted to talk about. I already watched it through, so you're not gonna get a reaction, but I just wanted to talk about some of the points that he said.
Someone asked me whether or not a game is competitive. I asked myself, is this a consistent, functional, fair, balanced game that creates an equal playing field that caters to multiple players and play styles that will allow them to compete against one another and showcase a difference in skill and ability to wield the characters and mechanics in the game and showcase a gap in that skill.
One thing that I need to make abundantly clear, and I hope I articulate this pretty well, but no fighting game is balanced, right? And I'll get into that. I'm gonna use old examples first. So Street Fighter Third Strike, one of the most beloved fighting games ever. There's only 2 characters after top 8 that you see. It's either Chun or Yun. That is it. If you get an outlier, they become super hyped for the event. But other than that, it's Chun, Yun, Chun, Yun. Dash of Ken. That's all you're seeing. So that game was not balanced at all. But that was back then. This is a different time. That's why I can't really use super old examples anymore. I can use even recent examples. Street Fighter 6. I'll even go that recent. I'm not even going to go to Street Fighter 4. The Street Fighter 4 is a broken mess of a game, but we're not going to talk about that. Bison is out here two-tapping people for one mistake, bro. Set up into Devil Reverse into Super. Heihachi out here doing 50% combos into setup into death. What are we talking about? Balance does not exist in these fighting games. And as much as people love to say, oh man, my balance, they played the most broken characters in the game. I get it. If you're talking about balance, I get it. But I don't agree with it, because some of these fighting games that we be playing is not balanced at all. That's why I say balance is not really a thing. If you have a balanced fighting game, it's probably the most boring thing ever.
These games, while they do have some level of skill it requires to play them at a higher level, and there can be a skill gap, are designed to be more fun and more casual compared to the other games that are designed to have a much higher ceiling and a better demonstration of what it means to be a top player in that game.
Saying this point is like saying, yo, that golf is super casual. But that football though, now that's where the real stuff is. Like, you can't say that. Like, I get it. I get it. I get it. They said they're not gonna balance this game in the way that you would normally think, right? They're gonna go by the power levels of the actual anime. But at the same time, you can't say this is a better determination of skill when there's a giant skill gap in Sparking Zero. Like, giant. If you are not doing specific things, you just lose. Straight up. You don't get past a certain point.
Even if we take balance out of the equation, there's just too many bugs, glitches, inconsistencies that just don't make it a reliable enough game to be on that tier. But I also think that that's perfectly fine. The game doesn't have to be Tekken. It doesn't have to be Street Fighter. It can just be its own thing. It doesn't have to get tossed into a room where it doesn't belong.
Now, this is where the fighting game bias starts kicking in. And I'm not saying, I've never said this, by the way. I've never said that this game should be at EVO. I just want people to realize that this game is competitive. All I've been trying to say. Now, if it wants to get to EVO, yes, it needs to fix the bugs, the inconsistencies. But that's never been my point, and that's never been what I've been trying to tell people. I've been trying to tell people Sparking Zero is competitive and you can play it as such, and there is a skill gap for it. Obviously, from the amount of rage quits people have been getting, but saying this game is not like Tekken, it's not like Street Fighter, and basically alienating every single arena fighter by saying that, I'm not gonna agree with it. Kill la Kill died because of this. Now, Kill la Kill had its own issues. I'm not gonna get into that. I'll go on for days on Kill la Kill. All I'm saying is, this needs to stop. This needs to stop. Even looking at the previous TNS tournament, like not the one that just came out. I'm talking about the previous week, the one that everyone was talking about, like this is boring and all that, right? Tampa Never Sleeps, right? This was the tournament that everyone was talking about. This one ran for like 7 hours and 14 minutes. A long time for a tournament, right? Very long time. But you know what people didn't talk about? The KOF tournament that literally happened the next day. This ran for 7 hours, almost 8 hours. Nobody talked about this. And nobody's gonna bat an eye on this because it's KOF. It's a 2D fighting game. Nobody talked about this. This literally is longer than the Sparking Zero tournament. And then they did a recent one, which just happened like 2 days ago. It did normal numbers because they had actual rule sets. The bias can't continue, brother. Like, it's obvious that it's there. At the end of the day, I just want people to realize that this game can and will be competitive because people will continue to run tournaments for this game. They will continue to play it, and they will continue to improve at it. And once the rule set has been set, which it already has, this game is going to do well in tournaments. At the end of the day, I just want people to know that this game is competitive, and that's all. All right? Should Dragon Ball Sparking Zero be esports? That's a different conversation. I think they need to fix a lot of things. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Leave a comment on what you think about this entire situation. Do you agree that Sparking Zero is not competitive and shouldn't be treated like that? Or do you think this game has the potential to skyrocket and push arena fighters into the FGC to be more prominent? Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. And remember to stay determined.